All right, so I'm here with Antonio. I met you or I connected with you through Instagram. I saw a few of your videos and it definitely grabbed my attention. You got really interesting content. So I think I commented, you commented back, and here we are. So, things happen quickly on the internet sometimes. But maybe we can start by just you telling me your story a little bit because I don't know your background. I know you're making interesting content, and obviously you're a dancer and you're doing some interesting things as far as what you offer and helping people. But how did you get started and how did you get here?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Yuri, for, as you say, like being very quick about it and not having too much back and forth. It was just like, okay, let's do it. I actually just wanted to say that you were one of the first people that I saw creating content that I would like to create like that, this type of interviews. And I've seen how you have done it throughout time and you kept that format consistently and it has been getting better and better. So in a way, I was also like, okay, I like this guy's content and you were one of my first. Is there anyone else talking about dance? Just like talking about it instead of just like dancing, right? So I appreciate the opportunity, and I will do my best to be as authentic as I am, and I like to be. So for the people that don't know me, my name is Antonio Laguna. I'm from Spain, and my story is not nothing like I'm not super special. I'm just like a normal guy that whenever I started dancing, for me, dance was special because I came from an injury that prevented me from doing sports from the age of 13 to the age of 18. And that created a lot inside of me because I was a very sporty guy. I was in judo, martial arts, and also football in Spain, very big thing. And to not be able to do sports and to not be able to use my body all of a sudden from one day to another, it really created a big shift in what I call the identity, in my identity, that all of a sudden my world was different. I got bullied. I felt really like something was wrong with me because I couldn't, do as other kids would do in that moment. And I got really a lot of stories that I started telling myself about myself, my worth, and everything. For me, dance was a way of starting to use my body again. It would not be very demanding with my knee, which was the place of where I got the injury. And dance allowed me to reconnect with that part of me that got a little bit like left behind back in the day. At the same time, when I started dancing, I moved to Amsterdam, and I was an engineer. I was a software engineer, a techie,
Mhm.
and I like some structure on things. I was in cybersecurity, actually helping people be protected against hackers and bad guys, right? Um, but at certain point, I started feeling that in my whole life there was something that was not really clicking anymore, and there would be both in dancing and also in my career. And what I started noticing is that a lot of the things that I was feeling about my life, I would be feeling those in dance. And a lot of the things that I was feeling in dance, I would be feeling in my life. So they were very correlated.
Mhm.
So then I started like really looking into that relationship more and more. And well, it was a big rabbit hole for me. I became very let's call it healthily obsessed about it. I found a lot of answers. I found answers that I didn't expect to find. I thought that it was just going to be, oh yeah, it's dance, right? And then you have dance, and then you have normal life, right? I thought that that is a separation that is created by the mind, but it's not necessarily there. It's actually very interconnected to a point that my vision of the world changed again. I had a change of identity again. And I decided, okay, I cannot do this engineering thing anymore, even though it's very lucrative, very social status is very high. I got my shit together. Everyone kind of like respects me. I need to start from scratch again. I love this looking at my own self, looking within, looking at the personal development side of things. And I never considered involving dance into this up until I had some meetings with some friends. And one day it just fully clicked. Like, okay, I see that the path that I've had in dance of like really also getting very triggered and all these struggles, I see a lot of my friends also having them. I see a lot of people in classes also having them or in festivals. What if I become kind of like a personal development for dancing kind of guy? And that idea took place inside of me, and I decided to really like follow that trail as much as I could. And well, 2 years later, here we are.
So what happened between when you decided to do that in 2 years later? What is this transition?
Well, for me, I started by focusing on things that make you dance better. Let's say that that was like maybe the best way to describe it is that I approach this as an onion and it has layers. So the first thing that I was able to see is that a lot of people are not able to dance better, not because they lack of technique or they lack move or whatever, but because they're in their head. They're blocked inside. I started there and I started like really getting my hands on every mindset coach that I could find. Jay Shetty, Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, Winhoff, a lot of different people talking about the same subject. How do they approach this kind of thing? And that served me very well. I created my first coaching program with people. I started working with talented dancers. The program would work. We would get very good results. And then I also started observing something different that for me was a bit um, uncharted territory, which is it was going deeper. It was not just mindset. It was just not just like nice tips that you would see in a carousel of Instagram. It's actually people were having really big realizations through this kind of work. And then I started observing that dance, it has a very powerful impact on what I like to call now the identity, which is who we think we are, who we identify as. Because when we are dancing, we cannot, you're a dancer, you know what I'm about to say, and probably people would see that. When you're dancing, you're not really thinking, you're just flowing. You're just there, you're having fun, you're being authentic. That is a little bit more what we would call the unconscious mind. You're not conscious of what is happening right now. You're not thinking, you're not, you know. But when you invite that unconscious mind, you will also invite a lot of your stuff to come up. If you
Hmm.
have some insecurities, if you had some trauma in the past, if you had some fears, if you had some. So it will bring you a lot of good, but also it will bring a lot of, well, unresolved stuff. And I would keep seeing with my clients and with myself that this would get a very recurrent theme that not only with like, let's say, superficial layer tips and coaching, we would actually help them to get through that. So in those 2 years, I also started focusing more on that part, on what dance is actually showing about the you that you are right now, about those wounds, about those things. The more that I did that, better results started coming. The clients would say, "Oh my God, this is not only improving my dance, but also in my relationship now is going so much better. I'm making more money now because I feel more at ease with this and this topic. I have healed my relationship with my dad or my mom or my brother or whoever, because these are core wounds or core things that dance would activate them, but they were not coming from dance." And what I realized is that we were looking at those issues as dance issues, and we were trying to give them dance solutions or mindset solutions applied to dance when they're not really about that. So that was my biggest approach to what I'm doing and what I've been like really focusing on for a long time. I don't know if that answers.
No, very interesting. So, with some of these things that manifest themselves through dance because of subconscious connection that you mentioned, how do you identify them to begin with?
Hmm. Okay, I like this part. So I had a video that I need to do another one because it was a long time ago. And it's what you see versus what I see. You say, no, I'm freezing when I'm dancing with someone higher level. That is what you see or what a client would see. What I see is your body somehow it's having a freezing response because it's considering that whatever it's outside is dangerous. So for sure, there has to be a block related to that. Could be a parent wound. It could be you got bullied. It could be. So there is a story that you are telling yourself about that event that is causing your body to freeze. For sure. If you wouldn't have that story, you would flow. If you wouldn't have that trauma story in your nervous system, you would move easily. And the beauty with dance is that because it involves emotion and it involves motion, it will always get stuck whenever there is a trauma story in the body. But also, it is the way also to move through that, to actually do a movement with that emotion. It is also a very good way to release that as a somatic tool. You do that in there's so many other techniques. Like I live in Bali and there is something called ecstatic dance, which is very therapeutic, very healing for a lot of people, moving without any moves, just like intuitive dance, let's say. Or things like in yoga, you know that with the probably with the movements of yoga and the breath, you also release a lot of stuff. Also with physiotherapy, whenever they give you a good massage, you can also release some trauma. So dance is also serving as a platform for you as a channel to let go all of that. Whenever I see that a client of mine or someone that is I'm just observing, they're having a physical block, for sure there is something. Because there is a difference between I don't know how to do that and I don't know that technique or whatever, and I can see in the micro expressions of their face, I can feel their own energy shifting, and I can see their own physical body getting like tense or stuck or close up because something that maybe unconsciously they are telling themselves. And normally is, yeah, I'm not good enough to do this. This is, I'm doing bullshit. They're not going to like dancing with me. They're going to reject me. All of that, very, very unconsciously, we all kind of like tell those stories to ourselves. And dance, for some reason, it gives us so much exposure that we kind of like go back to middle school when we were like being picked to the team of sports, or when we were asking our crush to go to a date or something. It kind of like
Hmm.
bring back those things for our nervous system, and it's really triggering. So in a way, it's also a really good way to see where you are at with those blocks, because it doesn't lie. If it's happening in your dance, it's going to be showing up in your life 100%. And it's a beautiful correlation because it's a very good diagnose tool.
So if you have a person who, let's say you don't even know, oh, I guess a first question would be, in order for you to really analyze someone, can you do it just visually, or do you need to know a little bit of history, like how long the person has been dancing, or what kind of classes person took, or any piece of information about the dancer?
So if we're going to the extreme, I wouldn't have to know anything just by looking, okay, dance whatever it is that you would like to dance, and I just observe. In
Yes.
that, you're already going to observe things. On top of that, if I have a little bit more context, then things start falling into place. There are more hunches, like, okay, there is something not working there for whatever reason. And then we start with some, talking, coaching, exploring over there. You start getting to the what has happened there or what is happening there, you know? Um, but if you ask black or white type of question, I believe that only by observing someone, like, okay, give it to me, like whatever it is that you would like to show me, and you will feel if it feels flowy, if it feels authentic, if it feels that that person is relaxed, if it feels that that person is having fun. If it doesn't feel all of those, there's something going on.
So if the person is not having fun and person gets either stuck or freeze, um, I'd be curious to know, the reason why I asked the first question is because if you have someone who's been dancing maybe for a few months, right? So clearly, someone who clearly doesn't have a good foundational skills for dancing. Whether I don't care what style you dance, whether you dance zouk, bachata, salsa, I don't think it really matters. I think what matters here is that you physically, it is not at the point to execute the dance in order for you to feel confident to be on the
Yeah.
dance floor. And I think everyone goes through that stage. So let's say that whatever this time frame is, because I think for everyone it's a bit different. Some dancers pick up dance within 1 year, they could be great. Some dancers it takes 4 to 5 years to be decent, right? Like it's amount of time that you put in, obviously the training, the number of factors, right? But I think the point is, if we have a dancer who is physically not comfortable with his or her skill sets, and that could have direct correlation on how they behave, visibly on their behavior, then wouldn't you say that would be a different story from all the other stuff that we kind of talked about just now? Meaning that would that even, would any of these traumas in spirituality even mean anything if we're at the point where a dancer physically gets shut down because they physically not there yet, they simply cannot execute the dance properly?
Yeah. So I like the question. It's a very good question. Let me respond with one, let's say, question small. Have you ever met this type of beginner that they don't know nothing and they're having a lot of fun
Oh yeah, of course.
and they don't know how to execute? So how come are they having fun if they don't know how to execute? You said something very important in when you were describing the situation. You said they don't feel comfortable with their skill set. That's not physical anymore. I don't feel comfortable with a part of myself, my skill set in dancing. That is already a judgment that I'm having with myself. That is already, I am not accepting that I am here. That is why I don't feel comfortable. If you really dig deeper into that, probably there is something as I should be farther now. I'm not good enough. Look at the others and look at me. Um, you know, probably one of those. Normally, it's over there. The key thing is they don't feel comfortable. Okay, let me put in a very drastic scenario because these things, when you move it very, very to the far right or far left, you kind of like get the concept, and then it's about calibrating. If that person would lose their legs and they spend like years without legs and without dancing, and now one day they're able to have their legs back because of whatever miracle, and they're able to dance again, would they care about their level in that day that they're dancing?
Yeah, probably not.
So there is a scenario that with the same skill set that they didn't feel comfortable with, now they would be the happiest just for the miracle of being able to dance. So in the end, it's something internal happening. This is where I'm going.
So you are attributing pretty much everything to the emotional slash spiritual slash internal processing that happens.
I call it identity, who I think I am. I have worked with world champions that they were not happy about
Mm,
their results, about their life. I have worked with very beginners that they had other issues and they wanted to improve, but they were happy about that particular thing.
yes.
So it's not about the skill.
But do you think in this context though, doesn't a world champion would have to have some sort of chip on their shoulder to perform at that level? You know what I'm saying? Don't you think that they can even create something for themselves mentally just to push themselves? I'm not saying that they do
Yes.
it on purpose or not. That could be intentional or unintentional. It very well could be trauma, or it very well
Yeah.
could be an intentional attempt to have a chip on their shoulder. But they need to, it's like, Michael Jordan, he was described as psycho during
Yeah.
practice. But that's what it took to win 6 championships, right? So those things, there's a price to pay for those, right? So don't you think that that's also not necessarily in even comparison when you looking at someone who is, um, pursuing a very high professional goal versus someone who is just social dancing?
That's an excellent question. I really like that. What if you could do both? What if you could be excellent and not have to suffer and not have to have that trauma drive, but rather be so grateful and joyful because you get to do the thing that you love the most in your life in a professional level, that you're gonna, you know, hit it out of the park, out of love, out of inspiration, because we live in a very hustle type of culture. We live in no pain, no gain. We live in, if you didn't suffer for it, then you didn't work enough. I want to make a reference. This particular topic that we're talking about right now, I don't know if you know Hormozy and Tony Robbins. They just had an
Mm-hmm.
interview,
Mm-hmm.
and this is exactly the topic that Tony is telling to him. Man, you have built the biggest thing that you could build, and you're not happy
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Hmm.
And it's amazing that you can build that. But what is that for if you cannot enjoy it? If you cannot enjoy your life, if you cannot enjoy yourself? So, by all means, with the dancers that they want to push themselves, they want to achieve championships, they want to, create their own thing. Let's do it. But why do we need to do it from trauma, from fear, from suffering, from putting people down, from having chips on the shoulder? Why not doing it from a much, much more powerful place? Contribution, growth, unconditional love for what you're doing for yourself, gratitude. And actually, if you go into science and you measure, and this is David Hawkins' map of consciousness, this is Joe Dispenza, if you measure those energies of those emotions that I'm talking about, you measure suffering and grit and pushing through and all the emotions that they bring, and you measure gratitude, love, joy, unconditional love, the energy that the latter gives you, it's so much bigger. So you have so much more to work with and to work from, and you're kind of like being pulled instead of pushing, which is so much nicer. So that is where I'm going with this type of approach. That of course the people that they want to get to that top, yes, but let's help you enjoy the process. Let's help you enjoy when you're there. Let's help you enjoy after you're gotten there, and you can expand even more.
What if the reason why they started was because they wanted to prove themselves and they actually never liked the art form, period? Like, what if the only driver they had is to, you know, be worthy for a family member or be worthy for themselves, and that's the only thing that kept them going?
Let me put you, I like to ask this type of question. Let's take that person. Let's put them in a time machine and let's put them in the last day of their life. And now they're looking back at their life. What is the main feeling that they're going to feel when they have spent their whole life doing all of those things that they did to validate themselves, to prove it to that family member? Normally, the word that I hear is regret or sadness. And my question is, do you want that day, that feeling of regret on your latest day? Because to me, that was engineering. It was amazing, but I was doing it to prove something to someone and to prove my value and to prove that I was enough. And at some point, you need to really take a very hard look in the mirror and say, this is not your life. And you deserve to live your life, the life that you would pick. If you're dancing to prove something to someone, you're just lying to yourself and you're going to hate yourself for that for the rest of your life. I cannot think of a worst punishment.
Hmm.
Wouldn't you prefer to just like be conscious of that you're bullshitting yourself and have a choice to pick? It's not that you need to quit, but maybe this has happened. Maybe you have a conversation. Maybe you realize, oh shit, I am actually doing it from the wrong reasons. And maybe you do quit, or maybe you do a variation, or maybe you change your heart and now you pick another reason of why doing it. And you keep dancing, but from a different place. I think that that would be the biggest gift that any dancer could do to themselves, to really understand where are they dancing from?
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So you were in Europe. I don't think we talked about it yet, but how did you ended up there and how the whole thing started in terms of, I know you shared your own experience and why you decided to go that route, but in terms of steps that you took to get to where you're at today, I'm kind of curious to hear that too.
So at first, I decided to join. Well, first of all, I had two burnout leaves on engineering job just because I couldn't do it anymore. Like it was not fulfilling. I was like hating myself. Basically, I was doing the
Mm,
story I just said. It's me. That's why I know
mm-hmm,
because I felt it.
mm-hmm,
I started getting coached, and I found several of the things that I coach now people into. I found them for myself. And at some point, I decided to join a master's in coaching because I thought, okay, I need, a title, a credential, so people don't think that I'm full of shit because all of a sudden I'm a coach. Who do you think you are? All of my stuff also coming up. Eventually, I quitted my job. I created my company. I started my coaching business, and when that happened, a place that I heard about for finding yourself and for finding who you are is Bali. A lot of people coming here, and I was like, okay, let me give it a shot. Um, when I came here, I found a different type of reality. I found that a lot of the things that I was thinking about life, it changed. People here were kinder, they were more connected to nature, they were more connected to themselves, they were more connected in community, they were really like helping you for everything, like out of love. Like you would leave your keys of the motorbike all inside the motorbike and no one would touch it. I forgot a few times the phone, no one would touch it. And I would come from Spain or from Amsterdam. I'm like, what? How? Like, I thought I didn't have a bike or a phone anymore when I remember that I left them there.
mm-hmm,
So it's a different type of approach to life, and it's so beautiful. When I came back to Europe, I decided like, okay, I'm gonna create my things so I can maybe work online with everyone, and I'm gonna be putting my videos and stuff. And I think that I would like to live in Bali. So I came back I started in April 2024, and in December 2024, I came here again just to see if I could work from here because it's different to come as a tourist and to try to work. Let's see if with
mm-hmm,
the time difference and stuff. And it did. It worked. I did even some workshops here. I was like closing clients. I was coaching clients from here. So it was nice. So eventually I came back to Europe, sold my stuff, left my apartment, and I got on a one way ticket to Bali with just like a heart full of hope, let's say, and joy for like, okay, I was in a burnout leave in a job that I didn't like. I really changed my life. Now I'm working as the thing that I love the most and creating something new. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing half of the time, but it doesn't matter because it's nice. People like it. I'm liking it. I feel guided. And now my guidance is bringing me to Bali. And I've been here since April last year. Now I am really like working legal here. I'm also creating workshops here about what I call inner dancing, which is what is happening inside when you're dancing. And yeah, the brand is expanding. I have now not only one-on-ones but also in groups. So yeah, the journey has been really interesting in terms of entrepreneurship. I was never an entrepreneur, so it's been a big, big journey for also my own development. And how has the journey been? Um, yeah, I think that I would summarize that as I started thinking I need to prove that I am enough for people to listen to me. At some point, that created more bad than good, and
Mm,
I had to let that go. I had to really look at my own shadows more than once in those 2 years. And the moment that I started really like embracing who I am, I'm more spiritual. I live in Bali. I like to talk about this woo woo stuff as something normal because I believe in them. I fully believe in them. I was the most skeptic guy ever. And now I'm here, you know, I grow my hair. I had the whole thing, like I'm the whole meme of spiritual guy living in Bali and I don't care. I don't care because that's me, man. And the
yeah.
more that I'm embracing that, the more authentic I am, the more that I'm allowing whatever has to come through me to go into the world, into my content, into my sessions, people are going nuts. People are like, wow, that was so good. That was really like, thank you so much. The first video that I posted about spirituality with dance, I was shit scared. Dance is spiritual. I can send it to you later. I was like, people are going to boo me and stuff. It got so viral. Oh my God, you touched my soul with that video. I'm like, wow, people really like understood what I tried to say. And that was a breaking point. So now I'm really like leaning into spirituality also as a not, I like to do grounded spirituality. So like explain spiritual concepts in a way that we can all talk about them because there a lot of wisdom for all of us. And
Mm.
I see that I love seeing posts of other coaches, people about dance and stuff. And the only thing that I see is that sometimes we keep talking about the issues that are happening in the community and in dance and in classes and in teaching and in everything in the upper layer of that onion that I was saying at the beginning.
Hmm.
Like there is so much more that we could be speaking about that we don't dare as a community to go in there just yet. Sometimes I see in Zouk, they go in there, but for sure in bachata and salsa, it's very, very, very rare. So yeah, that's a little bit where I would like to put the focus. That's where I think that I can offer most to the community, to the people that would like to listen more. That's where my heart is.
There's something to be said about authenticity. And it's funny that you mention it because I think about it. I wouldn't say all the time, but I think about it often enough for me to make a mental note about it over and over again. And I think everybody's journey is different, right? So, like you mentioned, you leaning in into spirituality because that's what's on your heart, that's what's on your mind, and that's what you connect with. So, yeah, you should continue to do what you connect with, what describes your essence. But I think dance is a unique art form because some bachateros connect with bachata in a special way. Some salseros connect with salsa in a special way, and so on and so forth. And so, in a way, it does help you to find your identity through the art form. But what's really interesting is how it can then kind of affect, even indirectly, other areas of life. So I think there's a lot to it. I think 100 or 200 years from now, there's probably going to be some research, or maybe even sooner than that. But it's going to take some time, I think, to study the brain, to study the spirit, which is, I think, the most, how would you say, mysterious, perhaps, thing because there's something there, but what is it? How to describe it, right? What it does and where it goes and where it comes from. But long story short, authenticity, I think, in connecting with dance, I'm sure you can probably have a long conversation about that. Like you were mentioning in the beginning, how it has a lot of connections, you know.
I would like to say something because it just came and I think it's very valuable for here. I think that tapping into authenticity, I think that tapping into authenticity is tapping into spirit. You
It's
see,
got to be.
it's something there, right? You cannot study it. There is actually some studies. I because I'm a geek about this, and there is a lot of studies about this.
Hmm.
They put someone in a Faraday cage and they measure um, the energy that they are emitting, and they ask them to feel all sorts of emotions, anger, sadness, and they measure the energy output from that person body, and they kind of like rank them up. The interesting thing is that the highest output of energy would be when that person would tap into not only joy or peace or bliss, but authenticity.
Mm.
And that means if they were anger because they were authentically angry, that would put the highest peak of output of energy. If they were sad, if they were, playful, whatever. I actually, one of the pillars of the type of coaching that I do is who are you, the real you, without the bullshit of, you are in this
Hmm.
little box.
Right.
And that you is what I like to call the higher self, which is spirit, the highest version of you, the one that doesn't have fear, doesn't have any conditioning, it doesn't have any bullshit. So, yeah, very aligned with what you're saying.
Are you at all concerned that we're perhaps drifting away from our authentic selves due to, well, at least on the West, due to technological advances and how secluded we becoming as a
Yes.
society, and in how, I guess, less appreciated the community becomes, at least here in the West?
Yes, I am. That's why I try to live here because I get nurtured here by some values, by some energy, by some things that I see and I don't see in the West. And it's sad because I didn't even know that that was possible. But this is reality for them. For us, the Westerns, when we come here, oh my God, this is magic. No, this is Monday to them, but we don't have that. My question is, why don't we have that? And then we really go down a rabbit hole here. It's a
Hmm.
big rabbit hole. In whose interest is that we are disconnected? In whose interest is that we have more mental health issues? In whose interest is that we are more Autobots than sentient spiritual beings? I'm just going to leave the question there. We're
Hmm.
not going to go deeper in there. But, and this is a big but, because of the nature of dance and because of how much dance is growing over time in numbers in terms of people dancing, if we could help people see that through dance they can tap into authenticity, and through tapping into authenticity they would tap into spirit, which inevitably is going to connect them better and make them feel better, you could reverse the harm that is being done in, let's say, other areas of our life. Let's not get very controversial right now. I have seen this happen. It has happened with me and it has happened with many of the people that I work with, people that I interact with. Dance has the potential to be one of the most transformative tools for self sovereignty. That means that no one controls you because you know who you are and you know what you want to do in your life. No one is telling you, you need to do this, this, and this, and then you will be happy. And then you will be at peace. No, when we dance, why dance is so addictive is because we, for a very short time of period, we connect with spirit. And we don't need to do any of that shit. What if we could expand that moment so it's not just one song? Because the same that you asked me that question, and it was a very good question. What if you are doing all of those things in your life because you're trying to prove something to someone? And dance is allowing you to see what real authenticity, what real joy, what real peace, what real you feels like. And now you go back to your job or back to your relationship, back to your life, and you don't feel any of that. Well, maybe you have a problem. Maybe you need to look at yourself, at your life, at your relationship, at your work. Maybe it's time for some changes. Because if you don't feel that authenticity, you're probably not acting from the self, but you're probably acting from the mask that you have built up to survive. And it's sad because we are just wearing this mask all the time.
We could easily go in another rabbit hole right here, but I'm going to take a different turn. Reversing damage by means of dancing that you mentioned. Fascinating topic. Any examples that you can give without mentioning the name or any details to just to showcase what you've witnessed?
One of my coaches, really, I mean, I know about this because I know the theory, I know, but this has been so far the biggest transformation in terms of how magical this has been. This person is older, close to 60. Person that when we started working together had a big um, pain in one of their legs. Because of that, this person couldn't dance, but couldn't walk sometimes. He would be afraid to go into the street. They would be afraid for everything. They spend over $1,000 in doctors trying to understand what was going on. When we started working together, we started seeing that there were a lot of patterns about fear. That fear of life was creating a lot of stress. That stress gets, let's say, a symptom, a consequence that if you don't attend to it, it will get bigger and bigger and bigger because your body is always trying to help you notice something. In the end, he was so tense because of that fear, that stress, that their leg would get in a lot of pain because cramping. What has been the transformation? Once they understood that they are the ones creating that and that they also have the capability to stop doing that. It took a little bit of time for the idea to, let's say, grow inside of them. But there was a switch. And one day I received a text, Antonio, 6 months, no, 3 weeks ago, I couldn't walk. This is me now. And they sent me a video of them dancing on the street, intuitive dance, moving, doing workouts, jumping, running a little bit. And every day they're dancing me an update because they're very, very happy about it. There is no signs of the pain. There is no signs of anything happen. The only thing that changed was the way that they would see themselves. Now, how is dance a thing on that? One thing that this person is sharing with me is that they feel now that they are more aware a lot of stuck things in their body, a lot of stiffness. How do they deal with that? By movements of circularity, by dancing. They do every day a couple of hours of dancing with the intention of letting their body intuitively release what has to release. This person is now talking to me about joining Jack and Jill's, and they're going to go to this place and this place and this place and this place. And I know that this is true because this is called biodecoding in science. This is Joe Dispenza's work, epigenetics. This is Tony Robbins, change your life, change your story, change your life. I've read and I've learned about that. This was the first case that I've seen with so much physical impact on someone. But this is true. I know this. There is also something called dance therapy. It's something that I didn't create, and this is over there. And through the movements, they help people process stuck emotions. There's also this very famous group, Amenti, that they do actually shadow work. They're a bit more hip hop, but um, they are also doing dance as a way of an outlet for this kind of transformation. So I'm also creating something besides the type of coaching that I'm doing, more integrated holistic experience that dance will be there as a way of moving that stuck energy with some other components such as breath work and guided coaching. And well, it's going to be a whole journey, let's say, but that's going to be in the future. But yeah, like it's one of the most powerful things to move energy inside of you, to actually move it. Emotion means energy in motion. When the emotion gets stuck, it's when the energy cannot flow. Through the movement, if especially you put intention and you breathe with it, that emotion can be released, can complete the circuit, and then you're free.
Do you think that person would be willing to give you a video testimony?
Yeah, yeah.
That
Yesterday, we are going to be collaborating for 1 more year. So from a 3-month program, they just signed for 1 year. I asked for the video testimonial, and they said that they want to do it in a month. That they, because they are moving to another place, more exotic, more tropical, and they want their testimonial with the real background of like, this is me now. That was what they told me. So
and I think that this could potentially be awesome content if you just pre-record it like that or any other way where you just have a even few minute conversation and ask a few questions and they told you about the experience. I think that's excellent content.
yeah, yeah. I'm starting to roll this type of interviews also as success stories with clients that they finished now, and I'm already working with that. But yeah, for sure, this story for sure, I would like to have it on video because it's very powerful.
That's really cool, man. Really cool. Well, let's talk about dancing a little bit. I know we,
All right.
we touched on spirituality, which was awesome. So based on the videos that you have, your preferred dance style is bachata, am I right?
Yes.
So what it is about bachata that you enjoy?
Um, Let me give an umbrella of context, and then I go into that. You mentioned it before, and I think it's a good point also for us to mention it. Different styles of dance will uh, call different people. Like, if I can do a very quick analysis, I see salsa way more fiery, like, yeah, people that they like, party, salsa. Bachata, for example, sensual, right? You prefer a little bit more romance, maybe you prefer a little bit more intimacy or this and that, but also you are also a little bit in the fiery, this and that. Kizomba, you really want like intimacy and cuddly, people that they want this closeness and this connection, sensuality, whatever. Zouk, also this flow. If you notice, the Zouk community is normally very spiritual, sometimes hippie a little bit. It's not by chance. I think that different type of dance, they connect with different parts of our identity. And actually, the more that you explore different dances, you connect with different parts of yourself. Why bachata to me? Bachata to me was simple enough to be able to dance it with the background of not being able to do any sports for 5 years, um, and challenging enough in terms of getting close with a female, having that moment of intimacy. I also started like with this circularity from bachata sensual, like, oh, that's cool and this and that. Salsa, for some reason, to me, it pushed me a bit more back, um, because I'm a bit more like relaxed type of guy, and salsa kind of like demanded too much energy from me, and it would burn me out, you know. So bachata for me was a little bit, more comfortable, more cozy, more okay. I can stay here. This is more like the energy that I like to maintain.
Hmm.
And kizomba, at the beginning, I didn't even know that it existed. But then when I did know that it existed, they told me that it was like for, people that they really wanted to hump each other and stuff. That's what they told me at the beginning. So I was like, okay, I don't want that. Funny enough, now I'm learning Kizomba, and I'm also becoming another beginner in Kizomba, and that's a whole different story. But yeah, that's why bachata for me, it was simple, it was connected, it challenged a lot of me, and I decided like, okay, let's stick to this one. I also like the music very much. I would play it every time that I'm cooking or doing anything. I would be playing bachata. I think that it's a good question because I cannot give you a specific answer, and that means that it's unconscious.
Mm.
So going back to why for you salsa and not bachata, for example, you can tell me some answers, and it's not going to be the answer because the answer is more visceral. You just feel it, right? When you just feel it, normally it's unconscious. You just connect more with that type of energy, which is fine. It's authenticity, you know?
From a technical standpoint, when you practiced, have you had any issues? Let's put the mental and spiritual thing to the side. I know we discussed there's some things happen on the dance floor because of previous traumas and maybe beliefs and self-imposed things. So we'll put all of that to the side. When you practice bachata, did you come across any physical limitations aside from your injury, if you had, um, maybe technique wise, or anything at all that you had to kind of overcome?
Yeah. Um, the first one that comes to mind is in terms of footwork. I found myself very not coordinated. And the first times that I would do classes of footwork, which was a salsa teacher doing footwork for Dominican Bachata, which is fast, I would really feel a big headache every time that I would leave the class. Afterwards, I did some research, and your gray mass in your brain is actually growing very, very exponentially when you're learning this type of new patterns and stuff because you're doing new uh, neuron connections, right? that helped me to understand that I was not crazy, that I was actually growing, you know. And yeah, I think that if we're going just to for technical things, that would be one of the most. I actually took a long time to pass the first two levels of, let's say, bachata one, two, three, four, or five. Bachata one and two, I could spend there for maybe almost like 2 years. This is going back a little bit more into the story that I was telling myself, because in the end there was not so much issues. Um, and also, there is this topic that a lot of people would like to talk about, which is that ego side of you not wanting to take the feedback or to acknowledge where you are. No, I want to be in that higher level, and not actually drill the fundamentals that actually allow you to go to that level.
Mhm.
So I spend a lot of time like kind of like in that beginner intermediate level, pretending, a little bit more than I should. And until I didn't go back to the basics and really got my basics straight, like really, okay, this is that. I see them as there's a toolbox and I have a lot of tools, and each tools I use them for a certain thing, and then just by the combination of them you get pretty much everything else. Until I got to that, it was a long way, and I had many occasions to regret on that. But it's a learning that I think that I needed. um and I think that there is a lot of people in there still. As you said, everyone has their own journey. I For a bit, I was also trying to coach people about that. I'm not so called to do that anymore. I believe that there are coaches that they do that excellent, so I would leave that to them. But yeah, that would be me. I don't know if that answers.
How is the dancing in Bali, Indonesia? Is it heavy on bachata? Is it heavy on salsa? What's the vibes like?
um Surprisingly enough, I see a lot of kizomba. I
Mm,
actually learned kizomba here because it's not super high level. I mean, it's higher level than I expected. Um, I live in a town that is called Ubud, which is the more spiritual one, of course. But then you also have Canggu and Uluwatu, let's say, to summarize. Canggu is a little bit more Western. And over there you see okay-ish level of bachata, okay-ish level of salsa, good level of kizomba, and tiny bit of zouk. In Ubud, there is very good level of zouk, like very good teachers are here. And salsa and bachata is like um, beginner improvers type of level. But the most beautiful thing that we have here in Ubud is that because this community is very connected to spirituality and very connected to with the locals, which again are the same guys that if they see your keys on the scooter, they don't take them, they actually give it to you. A lot of people that has come to visit me and they went dancing here in Ubud, they say the same thing. Level is not great, but I love the people. They're always smiling. If I fuck it up, they're always nice about it. They make a joke.
mm,
It feels so good. I can feel free. I can feel authentic. I can feel seen. I can feel connected. I can feel that I'm dancing. That is the feedback that I get from this particular place,
hmm.
which in a way it's cool. It's really cool. And in terms of level now, I am partnering up with a local teacher here. We're going to be doing our workshops. Then we're going to give a little bit of technique mixed with the other thing that I know how to do. to give them both worlds, the physical and the non-physical, about particularly bachata, but maybe in the future something else.
Nice, man. Very nice. Where can people connect with you and find your work?
So mostly Instagram. I have this profile and inner dancing method profile. Um, very soon, I would like to create a website that it's being on the books for quite a bit, but I prefer to dedicate time to content, clients, and stuff. But yeah, I think that the best way to contact me is through Instagram.
Anything else you want to add in closing that maybe we didn't discuss or that's on your heart?
I think that these conversations that you are having with people and that you're having today with me, they are the future. I think that I get so much hope every time that I see a podcast about dancing. And sometimes I get a little bit sad about the content that is being discussed because it's about gossip or whatever the fuck. It's like, why? Why? So I think that these talks are very important. And I'm very grateful that you decided to take me on your platform and your, let's say, your channel today. I would invite the people that they are watching this, that if anything resonated, they can reach out either to me or to you or to someone that they know that they do this type of work. Because the more that we start talking about this, the more that we can start influencing with our uh, decisions, with our buying power, how the community is being shaped. There is already some festivals that they are including this type of code of conduct kind of thing, um, coaching in their values. Like we are seeing a shift in the community, but we need more people requesting this. We need more people, um, let's say, willing to serve this wave because it is happening, and the more we are, the more that we can create this change. So that would be the only thing that I would like to request if you enjoyed this interview and if you enjoyed what we have discussed. Just feel how it feels for you. Feel what is your truth. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to anyone else. Just feel how it feels for you. Feel your truth. And if you feel that you want to more of this, okay, start asking in your community. Start asking online. Start asking to your teacher. Start look for answers outside because Yuri and I didn't really know each other, and just by asking and allowing ourselves, we're having this conversation. So you can do that too. And that's it from my end.
Well said, my friend. Antonio, thank you for your authenticity. Thank you for your knowledge and thank you for your time. It was interesting. It was thought-provoking and it was definitely enjoyable. I appreciate it, man. Hopefully, I'll see you one day in Bali.
You're invited, man. Anytime you want. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the questions. Some of them they were really, really very interesting topics, and I'm looking forward to yeah, see what the reaction of the people are on those. Thank you so much, man.
See you later, my friend. Best of luck.
All right, peace.